Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. This time, Zian did not ask for help from the Guardian again. Let them help you jump through space, and so on. Indeed, with the power of void ships and vertical starships, able to reach the Earth Federation in a very short period of time. But it is already a cruiser after all. Long-distance voyages are already possible. Let someone take it with you. It all feels like you are in your 20s or 30s and your parents still have to hold you across the road. Zian would never be able to do it anyway. Of course. Except for special circumstances. It is not a special situation now, and there are still a few months left before the agreed time. Of course there is no rush. It's time to consolidate your strength while you're on the road. When it comes to Guardians, what I have to say is, Zian received the top treatment among the unparalleled geniuses. The girls are now comprehensive ordinary geniuses. Naturally, he also naturally entered the list of the Genius Guardian plan of the Universal Human Federation. Now I have my own Guardian. But there is definitely no comparison with Zian. Their Guardian is an immortal ship captain. At the same time, corresponding self-protection props were also obtained. Anyway, compared to other geniuses, I don't know how much better. The Brilliant Fleet was also included in the key training list. Fleet. Before the cruiser, its importance was not so prominent. But wait until after the cruiser. This is the world of fleets. Since the establishment of the Brilliant Fleet, the fleet's rank has not actually improved much. But now the Brilliant Fleet is full of cruisers and has truly entered the battlefield. The rank of the fleet is particularly important. Because truly speaking, after the cruiser, the fleet rules. The Space Human Federation also attaches great importance to the fleet. All battles on the battlefield are conducted using fleet combat methods. Cooperation between fleets. #K. For fleets with great potential, there are also titles and various benefits. For example, Genius Fleet, Monster Fleet. The Prodigy Fleet, Brilliant Fleet. Now, because all the members are geniuses, and there is also Zian, a peerless genius ranked 303. It is an absolute genius fleet, without a doubt. And what are the benefits of Tianjiao Fleet? When using the wormhole Stargate, it's free. And you can also take the emergency exit. In addition, the Tianjiao Fleet has the authority to mobilize a certain number of federal troops. The Tianjiao Fleet has absolute priority when receiving tasks. The Tianjiao Fleet has absolute autonomy on the battlefield. In fact, the latter is the most important. Having absolute autonomy means the Tianjiao Fleet, on the battlefield, does not need to obey any orders from the Federal Army. It can make its own decisions without compromising the combat mission of the Federal Army. The Tianjiao Fleet also has the priority to protect itself. This right of priority to self-preservation is also a pretty awesome authority. For example, the Prodigy Fleet, how can someone provoke you without opening their eyes? Then you can carry out unlimited counterattacks without suffering any triggers. In addition, when danger occurs in a certain area, the Tianjiao Fleet can even escape instead of participating in the battle. It's like an enemy invasion occurred in a certain area. Then the Tianjiao Fleet can run away by itself without worrying about the life and death of others. There won't be any condemnation. Only because Tianjiao is the hope and future of every ethnic group. The Prodigy Fleet. It is the most important treasure of every ethnic group. There is absolutely no room for error. This is the degree of protection for Tianjiao and the Tianjiao Fleet. Moreover, it is recognized by the entire human federation in the universe, from the super powerful to ordinary people, and agrees with it from the bottom of their hearts. Even if you are a Tianjiao and a member of Tianjiao Fleet, if you don't run away, someone will scold you. Although it has the right to prioritize self-preservation, The Universal Federation of Humanity has never had a genius or a fleet of geniuses escape first when ordinary people encountered danger. Although he would be scolded, but those people would also scold him for not knowing how to protect himself. It's the kind. It is precisely because of the great unity and cohesion of the cosmic human race that the cosmic human race has stood at the top of the universe without weakening for countless years. And getting stronger and stronger. Anyway, the Tianjiao fleet has many benefits. The way back. Not that far away. It will arrive in about a month and a half. There is an uninterrupted space jump in the middle. Then go through the wormhole Stargate. It even includes the evolution of the starship midway through. And this time, because the starships of the brilliant fleet are all equipped with training rooms. Therefore, you can practice on the way back, and the effect is exactly the same as the ordinary training room in the training camp. As for the high-pressure training room, it's better not to think about it. According to Master Kai Tai, the smallest high-pressure training room is over 30,000 meters long. However, although the effect of an ordinary training room is not as good as that of a high-pressure training room, it is at least much faster than practicing without a training room. Especially when combined with natural materials and earthly treasures. Speaking of which, Su Zian has already obtained the Tian Kai Dibao pharmaceutical spray formula. And it's of pretty good quality. This is the benefit of the peerless genius. After Su Zian reached the genius level of a peerless genius, Su Zian's application for pharmaceutical spray was directly approved by the headquarters. And it was sold to Su Zian at a very low price. The total price is only over $1 billion, but this chemical spray is enough even for the captain level of a depth control ship. The Star Destroyer captain, that is, the Ares level powerhouse, is definitely not enough, but let's wait until then. In addition, this formula is considered to be the most effective among its level. Of course, more natural materials and treasures are needed, and the price is more expensive. However, natural resources and treasures are nothing to Su Zian. Speaking of natural treasures, what I have to say is, after exceeding 10,000 wealth values, by adding another level, the wealth value consumption of Tian Kai Dibao is only increased from 10,000 to 20,000. And speed increases again. That is to say, for example, for a 500-year-old natural treasure, you would normally have to wait 500 days. However, 20,000 wealth is worth spending. It took only 50 hours to reach 500 years. Su Zian even tried the effect of 5th grade heavenly materials and earthly treasures, which are those that last for 1,000 years. You only need to pay 40,000 wealth points, and it only takes 1,000 hours to mature. But it is much shorter than waiting 1,000 days. This also eliminates the need for Su Zian to expand the area of the plant cultivation room. The current area is enough. After all, a complete formulation of this pharmaceutical spray formula is enough to be used 100 times. Of course, that is under normal circumstances, if it is used by Su Zian. Only 20 times. After all, he consumes a lot. No, including the girls. It will be exhausted in 20 days at most. Because they use it several times a day. The consumption will not be less than Su Zian. Even more. Only in this way can they keep up with Su Zian's cultivation speed. The journey afterwards. After feeling the speed of the cruiser-level brilliance, Su Zian and the other girls, once again, he plunged into intense training. Their space jump engine is the same model as Su Zian's. Moreover, Su Zian also upgraded their engine quality to the same as that of the Brilliance. Therefore, the distance is more than 40,000 light-years. After setting up the automatic jump and rushing on the road, I didn't care about it anymore. I believe that no blind pirates will come and attack them on the way. As for the human traders, the inhumans, and the insects, there is no need to worry. Their guardian is not a decoration. At this speed of cultivation, just 1 month, everyone was ready to evolve again. Su Zian is 7 to 8. The girls are 5 to 6. The location of this evolution is in a nearby star system. It doesn't matter what the name is, as long as it is not a private forbidden territory, you can enter. This star system is just as prosperous as usual. Even a little decadent. Obviously the economy is not that good. In the interstellar age of the universe, not every planet and every star system is extremely prosperous. For example, in the star system in front of us, there are not even many merchant ships coming in and out. The arrival of the brilliant fleet and the others undoubtedly attracted a lot of attention. The commander of this star system. He was also a cruiser captain who came to greet him personally. Listening to the other party's passionate words, Zian couldn't help but think of the solar system. Time flies, it is 5 or 6 years. 5 or 6 years ago. The commander of the Federal Army is such a powerful figure in his eyes. The cruiser captain was someone I looked up to at that time. 04, ordinary cruisers are not even a single enemy in their own hands. The progress in the past 5 or 6 years has been so fast that Zian even felt like he was in a dream. Smiled softly and thought no more. Taking the girls, they headed towards the most prosperous planet in this star system. At the same time, Jiang Yaoyao was exiting the virtual metaverse out of boredom. Although an exciting scene in a casual metaverse game has just ended, after the end, I always feel an indescribable feeling of emptiness. She, Jiang Yaoyao. Regardless of the cute name. But she, the great Jiang Yaoyao. The silver medal killer of the Dark One organization. A majestic god of war warrior and star destroyer captain. They are all so bored that they don't know what to do. She wanted nothing more now. I just want to do a mission to relieve my fatigue. I don't know if I heard her inner call. At this moment, a strange ringtone suddenly rang on her optical watch. Her expression was stunned. The next second, immediately fell into ecstasy. Jiang Yaoyao frowned slightly as she looked at this mission. This time her target is a young man. The strength shows that he is at the War Emperor level. That is, the battleship captain level. Other than that, it is just a photo and the current location of the target person. It's not anywhere else, it's the planet she is currently on. Apart from these, there is no other information. But that wasn't what made Jiang Yaoyao frown. 2. Do not know why. She always felt that this photo was vaguely familiar. The young man above seems to have seen it somewhere, but after thinking about it carefully, I couldn't figure it out and I was too lazy to think about it anymore. Looking at Zian in the photo, Jiang Yaoyao pursed her lips. What's the use of being handsome? Are you going to die at the hands of the great Queen Jiang Yaoyao? Looking at the house where she had lived for 5 or 6 years, Jiang Yaoyao felt a little reluctant to leave. Because she knew it very well. This mission is over. I have to leave again and find my next place to settle. But the universe is so big, are you afraid that you won't have a place to settle? It's better than staying bored for 5 or 6 years. Under the leadership of the commander of the Federal Army of this star system, Zian immediately obtained the largest evolution factory. And it's free to use. It was a small favor from the commander of the Federal Army. Because he recognized who Zian was. In the past few months, Zian's name and appearance were all the rage. Not everyone is as uninterested in these news and the genius list as Jiang Yaoyao. It was precisely because he recognized Zian that the commander of the Federation Army became overly enthusiastic, even to the point of being overly attentive. How could he not want to write about such a super genius? Even if you can't make friends, it's still good to have a good relationship. However, he did not continue to disturb Zian. After making these arrangements, he left on his own. Zian also started the next step of evolution. The materials for evolving to the next level are all prepared before departure. It is currently being stored on board the Little Yuan. You can start evolving at any time. The materials are complete and everything is ready. Evolution has officially begun. This evolution time has been shortened from 15 days to 13 days. This also proves the improvement of Zian's evolution ability. But Zian's evolution master ability has indeed improved a lot after these few months of continuous learning. The 3 crossfire evolution technology can already be said to be perfect. Currently, we are conquering the 4 crossfire evolution technology. Don't look at it just adding a crossfire technology device. But the difficulty increases exponentially. Anyway, judging from what Zian has learned so far, the evolutionist with the most powerful crossfire technology today can only combine 12 crossfire evolutionary techniques. And the other party? But he is already a treasure-level evolution master. The Universal Human Federation treats it like a treasure. BBDC, as for how awesome this technology is? Let's put it that way. Let's just talk about the technology used in the energy shield on the monolith. 3 energy shield devices, conducting 3 crossfire exchanges. Its defense capability is 8 times that of 3 energy shields. To put it more simply, for example, the energy shield of an energy shield device, under normal circumstances, can withstand 3 shots from the cruiser's main gun. Then 3 energy shield devices can theoretically withstand 9 times. But after using the 3 crossfire technique, it will be 70 times. 80 times? Even 90 times. That's how awesome this technology is. So you can imagine, why on earth is the evolutionary master who can perform 12 crossfire techniques regarded as a treasure? And this technology. Today, Zian has only mastered the 3 crossfire technique of the energy shield device at best. The rest of the parts, because they are not the same thing at all, so now I only have mastered the double crossfire. But even so, it's also very scary. Brilliant, for main guns, 2 models. 2 heavy hydrogen atom-shaped energy cannons use this technology. The other 2 kinetic main guns also use this technology. The effect is, the fired cannonballs are 3 times more powerful than the original ones. How terrifying. There are not many main guns and not many quality features. But the power has increased 3 times. This is the horror of this technology. This is especially true for the 2 girls, Fox Chi-Chi and Miao Xiaomi. As long as their weapons are of the same model, they all come in pairs and use this technology. So, the combat effectiveness of the brilliant fleet mentioned before is only theoretical. The actual combat effectiveness of the brilliant fleet, it's actually much scarier. Much more powerful. Let's put it that way. Brilliant fleet. Now it is not difficult to fight an ordinary deep space ship. In front of a star destroyer, you will definitely not be able to defeat them. That is wishful thinking. However, there is great certainty in escaping and saving one's life. This technology. Really awesome. But there are many more equally awesome technologies. Currently, Zian is also learning, researching, and conquering Dongji. After all, he is a man who aspires to become the strongest evolutionist. In addition to these technologies, then there is the improvement of Zian's own evolutionary master's basic strength. Now, he has almost completely mastered the evolution of battleships. Moreover, the quality can be guaranteed to be 100% purple unparalleled quality. Now, research on deep space ships and orange epic quality are ongoing. Orange epic quality, really difficult. The unparalleled quality of purple is not a product on the same level at all. But it's not a big problem. I believe that when Zian breaks through and becomes a battleship captain, it should be possible to evolve some orange epic quality parts. That's enough. 13 days. Everyone is still practicing. Zian is working hard to evolve. A flash. 13 days passed. With this small level of evolution, there cannot be any changes in the appearance of the starship. No one took a closer look. The girl's response to Zian's evolutionary strength. It is 10,000% trust from the bottom of my heart. Since Zian's evolution is complete, there is no problem, they believe it. Looking at the girls who looked slightly tired, Zian felt a little pity in his heart. He knows. The reason why the girls work so hard and desperately is because they want to follow him all the time. Looking at them, Zian smiled and said, "You have worked hard during this period. I heard from Captain Wang that the specialty bubble fish here is quite good. Want to eat it? There are really too many kinds of delicacies, specialties, and creatures in the universe." Anyway, Zian has no idea what this bubble fish is. All I know is that, although it is said to be a fish, it is actually something that can go up to the sky and into the sea. It is relatively rare and precious, and the price is also very expensive. It is precisely because of this that this star system is not particularly poor, but the taste can't be said to be particularly good. Anyway, it's just a taste, it doesn't matter. The girls' eyes suddenly lit up, and it was impossible for them to have any objections. For something delicious, they have no resistance. Immediately, Zian led the girls out of the evolution factory and walked towards a nearby specialty restaurant. But just after coming out of the evolution factory, Zian always felt like he was being stared at. His eyes were slightly focused, scanning the surroundings, but saw nothing. This is a kind of vigilance that he has naturally developed through many years of combat simulation. And Zian, who has experienced countless lives and deaths, never takes any chances with this kind of vigilance. Thinking of this, Zian calmly raised his optical watch and sent a message to Muzicho. Then he pretended that nothing happened and continued to leave with the girls. For assassinating yourself. Zian had already been mentally prepared. This time, was it sent by the Inhumans or the insects? Or are you a human traitor? If he is a human traitor, maybe we can take this opportunity to wipe out a gang of human traitors in one fell swoop. It's a pleasant thing. Think no more. Sure, Shiran left, in the most luxurious restaurant on the planet. Zian and his group were sitting by the window. Many people in the restaurant would glance at them from time to time, especially Zian, with envy in their eyes. Most of the looks are from male compatriots. This is normal. Because Zian brought several super beauties with rare beauty in the virtual metaverse, this scene was quite eye-catching. But among all the girls, how come there is one who is super big? Maybe a bodyguard. Neither Zian nor the other girls paid attention to the looks from around them. Such eyes. They have long been used to it. On the contrary, he was in high spirits with a mature and gentle woman. Muzicho spoke. But Muzicho said little, and his beautiful eyes just stared at Zian's. Zian, after feeling it carefully, nodded gently towards Muzicho. Muzicho suddenly raised her eyebrows, and her beautiful eyes swept across the restaurant inadvertently. But when he passed the first round, Muzicho's expression was slightly confused. When I passed the second round, I suddenly stopped for a moment on a woman who was plain-looking and even a little rustic. But he quickly looked away. Then with a smile on his face, he came close to Zian's ear and whispered softly, "It's okay. This person is quite hidden." If the void level hadn't been able to slightly feel the different bioenergy in the human body, I really wouldn't have been able to find her. I don't know exactly how strong it is, but I guess it should be at the God of War level or the immortal level. Muzicho said softly, although biological warriors in the interstellar era have long lives, they are also far more powerful than ordinary people. But it does not say that, like in some fantasy and fairy novels, you can feel the opponent's strength as soon as you release your breath. After reaching the immortal level, you can slightly feel the opponent's strength through the resonance of biological energy. As long as the opponent's strength is not much higher than Muzicho's, then you will definitely not be able to feel Muzicho's true strength. Or, biological warriors below the immortal level cannot feel the opponent's specific strength. Even if it is immortal level or above, it won't be that clear. But, for Zian, it is enough for now. Hearing Muzicho's words, the corners of Zian's lips raised slightly, and his voice was very small, but it clearly reached the ears of Qin Fuyue and others. Su Zian said softly, "It should be the god of war level, or at most the immortal level. I will deliberately expose a gap later so that the other party can take advantage of it. Then you guys, get ready and block and intercept with me. God of war level warriors are not that fragile. So if you have any means later, feel free to use them. Sister Zichou, please keep an eye on her later to prevent her from running away. The guest will be caught alive. I just want to know who sent him." Mu Zichou nodded lightly. The other girls also nodded to express their understanding. Then he continued to taste the delicious food quietly. Beside, Mu Zichou found the person who wanted to attack Su Zian, and after confirming that the opponent was not very strong, he was not particularly vigilant. A pair of beautiful eyes kept looking at Su Zian. One thing to say. Regarding Su Zian's strength and Su Zian's vigilant perception, Mu Zichou had to sigh. He is indeed a super genius who is treated as a top-notch genius by the headquarters. He never thought about the little guy with lustful eyes who was protecting him. He is actually such a talented person. How long has it been? He is already the captain of an 8th level cruiser. If we continue to evolve at this rate, I'm afraid it won't be long before I can catch up to her level. And with this vigilance, Su Zian might be able to live to a truly powerful moment. Thinking of this, Mu Zichou finally became serious about Su Zian. Such a genius. It's worthy of her taking it seriously, and it's not just about completing the tasks assigned by the headquarters. Su Zian didn't know what Mu Zichou was thinking at this time. At this time, all his attention was on the female killer. After all, the opponent is a god of war level warrior. Su Zian still didn't want to capsize in the gutter. And the other party's patience seems to be very good. Sure, Shiran was eating by himself without even looking at Su Zian. Su Zian was naturally not in a hurry and was eating by himself. Just like that, the meal was finished. Without any delay, everyone got up and walked outside, and Su Zian also deliberately went to the female killer's side to give the other party a chance to take action. Guess. Passing by her is the best time for her to take action. If nothing else, he should take action on himself. In fact, the other party did not disappoint Su Zian. When Su Zian passed by her, he was about to walk away completely at the first moment. This female killer, who had been eating with her head down, suddenly moved. A dagger suddenly appeared in her hand out of nowhere, and with lightning speed, it pierced Su Zian's heart fiercely. That method was extremely clean and neat, without any sloppiness. The speed is extremely fast. One look at this speed and this method, you will know that the opponent is a professional killer who has undergone the most rigorous training. She's fast. Su Zian is faster. Su Zian, who had been prepared for a long time, was waiting for this opportunity for her to take action. "Huh, it's really you." Su Zian snorted coldly, with an extremely cold expression. He didn't care about the opponent's dagger thrust into his heart. He took out the more powerful ultra-miniature dark matter pistol that he had prepared long ago and pointed it at her forehead. One shot healed. As for Su Zian, he was wearing an ultralight space armor from the popular series. But he was wearing a T-97 ultra-thin space armor. And after Su Zian was promoted to the Peerless Genius, the T-98 ultra-thin space armor was sent from the headquarters. 2 pieces of ultra-thin space armor and 1 piece of popular ultralight space armor. Su Zian is not worried at all. Oh. Seeing that the other party was about to stab him in the heart. Suddenly, a snow-white and delicate little hand appeared out of nowhere and suddenly grabbed the opponent's wrist, make it difficult for the opponent's attack to move forward. At the same time, it's not just Su Zian. In addition, the muzzles of several ultra-miniature dark matter pistols were also pointed at this woman's forehead. Just wait for Su Zian's order to shoot at any time. Although the ultra-miniature dark matter pistol is only lethal to single-level warriors, it does not cause much damage to warriors at the War Emperor level or even the God of War level. But so close, please give me flowers. And so many pistols. Even if the opponent doesn't die, he will definitely be seriously injured. Zian didn't want the other party to die. He wants to catch him alive. Look at each other again. Actually, when Zian reacted immediately, Yao Yao secretly said something bad. However, he still gritted his teeth and continued to stab Zian in the heart. She believes in her own strength. However, what shocked her was, at this moment, a hand suddenly appeared from nowhere and suddenly held her hand. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get even an inch. Then try to pull your hand back with all your strength. As a result, it was of no use. Her face was full of horror, and a chill suddenly swept through her body. Void level? Jiang Yao Yao screamed dumbfounded. She never expected it. The target of his attack was not only discovered by the other party in advance. There is such a terrifying strong man next to the other party. That's a void-level powerhouse. With his face changing wildly, there was no time to think about it. 0, 0, he gritted his teeth, and a dagger appeared in his other hand. Then without hesitation and with determination on his face, he slashed at his wrist. Look at her like this. Obviously he wants to cut off his tail and continue his life. Cut off your caught wrist with a knife, and then run for your life. She obviously underestimated the terrifying power of a well-prepared void-level powerhouse. No. Or she underestimated the identity of this target. Her other hand had just been raised. Sudden. A hand came out of nowhere and grabbed her hand suddenly. This hand is more powerful. She turned around with a dull expression. Enter the purpose. She is a middle-aged woman with a cold expression. Judging from the fluctuations of biological energy emitted by the other party at this time, Jiang Yao Yao's expression froze. Vertical star rating? Jiang Yao Yao looked at this middle-aged woman stupidly. He looked at Muzichou stupidly again. He looked at Zian again. Suddenly, she lowered her head with a look of defeat. She knows. She, the great Queen Jiang Yao Yao. This time, ruined. And at this time, the beautiful woman at the void level suddenly spoke. Zian, what are you going to do with this person? Take him away now? As soon as these words came out, Jiang Yao Yao suddenly raised her head, looking at Zian in disbelief. His face suddenly changed wildly, and he exclaimed loudly, Are you Zian? In the past few months, there has been a lot of news about the brilliant genius Zian, who is ranked 303rd on the genius list. Jiang Yao Yao's face was full of panic and fear. That is, fear from the soul. Knowing Zian's identity, realization dawned on her. This time, I'm afraid it's not just me who will be ruined. And it has its own ethnic group. Assassinate a peerless genius of the human race in the universe. That kind of consequences. It is something that no unorthodox human race can bear. What will greet her is death, greeting her tribe. It must be destruction. Billions. Jiang Yao Yao is going crazy. She didn't expect it anyway. The target of his assassination this time turned out to be a peerless genius. And he is also a peerless genius of the orthodox human race. The peerless genius of the unorthodox human race is regarded as a treasure by the human race. The peerless genius of the orthodox human race, the human race regards it as a treasure among treasures. This is why after Zian confirmed the talent of the unparalleled genius, there were 3 vertical starship captains to act as Zian's protectors, just because Zian is an orthodox human race. Etc. Jiang Yao Yao panicked and shouted loudly. Zian and others looked at her indifferently. Jiang Yao Yao gritted her teeth and said in a deep voice, I was cheated. Yes, I admit that I am indeed a killer sent to assassinate you. But I can guarantee that I never knew it was you. I've only seen your photos and didn't know you were Zian. So, there must be a misunderstanding there. Otherwise, even if you give me 10,000 courages, I wouldn't dare to assassinate you, an unparalleled genius. Everyone was unmoved by Jiang Yaoyao's words. 703. Even if it's really what she said, what does it have to do with Zian? He didn't even bother to listen to what she said. With a wave of his hand, Chen and said, take your pick. Naturally, Mu Ziqiu and the others would not have any objections. He didn't listen to Jiang Yaoyao's anxious explanation and took her away directly. Jiang Yaoyao suddenly looked ashen. In her heart, she hated the killer organization behind her. Since it was you who tricked me first, even the most talented human race would dare to assassinate me. That's not my fault. Jiang Yaoyao immediately made up her mind. Even if you die, you must drag the killer organization behind you to be buried with you. Wrong. And that employer? Although I don't know who the employer is. But when the human race is furious, they will definitely investigate. Then let's die together. The commander of the king's army was eating at home with his wife and children. Then he was still chatting with his wife and children about Zian and the scene when he met Zian. For example, Zian has a superb temperament and is worthy of being ranked 303rd. For example, Zian and him hit it off immediately, hooking up with each other and so on. All in all kinds of bragging. And his wife and children also listened with great interest, thinking that it was Zian. That is a peerless genius. But right now, the emergency communication rang. He frowned slightly and answered immediately. Then, before he could say anything, the top administrator of this galaxy began to spray madly. What the hell are you doing for food? You still want to eat at home? Do you have *** king know that we are both going to be doomed now? Huh? Still eating? Where are you going to eat? The other party's roar and almost hysterical curses made Captain Ren's face suddenly darken. Every star system has a supreme chief executive. He's just the commander of the Legion, with the same rank, but normally he is senior to the other party. You have to obey the other party's orders. But after all, they all have the same status. Being scolded by the other party, Captain Wang suddenly became angry. He immediately responded coldly, I'm talking about Department Chief Zhang, have you eaten a gun? What's wrong? I can't even eat? The other party continued to scold without politeness, eat. You have *** king know how to eat. Do you know, that Zian, Su Tianjiao? Just now, while dining in a restaurant in our star system, I was assassinated by a god of war killer. Ah? You still want to eat? Ah? This time, Captain Wang didn't respond to the other party's scolding. Everyone was dumbfounded and stunned. Zian was assassinated? Just for a moment. Cold sweat broke out all over his body. Cold sweat instantly soaked the clothes on his back, making him feel cold. My heart also felt cold. Zian, the genius of the day. Assassinated. As the commander of the army, he is absolutely unworthy of his duties. The superiors were so angry that he even had to suffer extremely severe punishment. That is a peerless genius. Thinking of this, when did he lie? He didn't even care about the other party scolding him. He even wished that the other party could scold him a few more words to relieve his heart that instantly became cold. After swallowing, he asked in a panicked tone, How is he? Is he okay? He won't. The words behind. Captain Wang did not dare to say anything anymore. He couldn't imagine it. Zian, if he was really assassinated in his territory. What a horrific consequence that would be. Of course he's not dead. If Zian was assassinated, do you think I would still be so kind to you? But even if he is fine, this matter is extremely serious. The superiors will definitely investigate. Now, immediately launch a complete blockade of the entire star system. I will conduct the most stringent screening of everyone in the star system. No matter whether the other party is a human or a ghost, even one of them is absolutely not allowed to escape. Let me find out all the 18 generations of these people in the star system for me. The Legion immediately enters a special state of war. The entire star system is only allowed in and out. Whoever dares to disobey will be killed first and then punished. At the same time, contact the division headquarters immediately and ask them to send stronger federal troops to guard it. This matter must be handled by me as soon as possible. Captain Wang, without any hesitation. He nodded hurriedly and said loudly, I know. Maid, even if it's a baby, I have to investigate it thoroughly. Damn killer, so audacious, so audacious. Commander Wang finally regained some sense at this time. As long as Zian is not dead, then everything is easy to say. If you die, you're really finished. Not dead? Then there is still room for change. Hang up communication with the chief executive. Captain Wang, without hesitation, pressed a red button on the optical brain watch. This is the button for special war status. Under normal circumstances, it is absolutely not allowed to press it easily. Once pressed, the entire star system immediately enters a state of super war. At the same time, the division headquarters will know immediately. However, there is definitely no problem now. The red button just clicked. At this moment, throughout the star system, no matter what the federal troops are doing, they all set off at the first opportunity, surrounded the entire star system, and completed martial law. After Captain Wang finished all this, he set off as quickly as possible. He rushed towards Zian's direction. At the same time, Zian, together with the other girls, was interrogating Jiang Yaoyao. At this time, Jiang Yaoyao had already given up her true face in Lushan. Unexpectedly, she turned out to be a stunning beauty on the same level as Qin Fuyue and other women, but that's certainly not the point. The point is, I was just getting ready to interrogate her. The interrogation hasn't started yet, the questioning hasn't started yet. Jiang Yaoyao was already minding her own business, pouring out everything she knew like beans. There is no need for Zian and others to ask. As for whether what is said is true or false, it's impossible to tell yet. However, the difficulty of identification is not high. It's easy to tell. Therefore, I believe Jiang Yaoyao would definitely not dare to lie on these matters. Lie? The kind of review that involves direct human intervention. Extract 5.8 memory directly. I won't play tricks with you at all. That's it. I've been here for 5 or 6 years. This time, the superiors suddenly issued this task. They only have your photo and your current location. I don't know the rest. Because, I rarely pay attention to the news. Being a killer is purely for the purpose of seeking excitement. Not for making money, not for anything else, just because my dream since I was a child is to wander in the darkness. Be a killer, an intelligence agent, and the queen of the underworld. But, I can't get into the intelligence department of the Universal Federation of Humanity. The requirements are too high and my identity doesn't meet the requirements. So, I really don't know that you are Zian. If I knew, I wouldn't be stupid enough to attack you. Jiang Yaoyao said everything at once, what should be said and what should not be said. Then he looked at Zian expectantly. Because she knew it very well. What determines her fate, and what determines the fate of the race behind her, only in Zian's thoughts, regarding Jiang Yaoyao's expectant eyes. Zian didn't care. He was touching his chin and thinking. The first thing to know is, the killer organization that Jiang Yaoyao belongs to is the Dark One organization. Even Zian, a person who has never been exposed to the dark world, has heard about this organization of darkness. This organization is a very powerful killer organization. The main area of activity is within the scope of the Universal Human Federation. But because it was hidden relatively deep, and even if it was assassinated, it never touched the red line. Although the Universal Human Federation has been pursuing it, it has not spent huge efforts to pursue it. Zian believed that it was impossible for this organization not to know his identity. Now that you know it, you still dare to do it to yourself. All I can say is that this organization really has something. But this kind of thing is not under Zian's control. He believes that the Universal Human Federation will definitely handle this matter. In fact, this is exactly the case. The headquarters of the Universal Human Federation received the news immediately. It was Mu Ziqiu and the others who reported it. The headquarters of the Universal Human Federation is furious. Immediately, the headquarters issued a bloody pursuit order. And this bloody pursuit order, it is the highest level fatwa of the Universal Human Federation. Such a fatwa would not be issued easily. Once it is released, it will definitely be unstoppable. And as long as you are a citizen of the Universal Federation of Humanity, you are obliged to hunt down and kill the people on the bloody fatwa. Official 11 media. They also began to report the news vigorously, informing all humans in the universe to launch a bloody pursuit of the Dark One organization. There was a big fuss all of a sudden. The headquarters of the Dark One organization, located on a very remote wandering planet. At this moment, at the headquarters of the Dark One organization, the atmosphere was so oppressive that it was about to explode. The leader of the Dark One organization and a very powerful starship captain. At this time I was so angry that my lungs were about to explode. Who is it who gave the order and mission to assassinate Zian? Who the hell is this guy? I'm going to tear him alive. No wonder he was so angry. The Dark One organization, although it is a shady underground organization, but the red line that should never be touched should never be touched. That's why the Dark One organization can only exist to this day. But this time, he actually dared to assassinate Zian. There is no doubt that it has touched the red line that must not be touched in the Universal Human Federation. It is almost a certainty that the Universal Human Federation will mobilize all its forces to pursue them in a bloody pursuit. It is a certainty that the Dark One organization will cease to exist. Now, what the leader of the Dark One organization has to consider is not how the Dark One organization can continue to exist. Because this is absolutely impossible. Now he has to think about, how can I survive the full blow of the furious Space Human Federation? There was silence in the conference room. Everyone had a solemn face and did not dare to speak. The leader of the organization took a deep breath and made a decisive decision, immediately announced to the public that the Dark One organization will be disbanded immediately. At the same time, find out all the information about the employer behind the assassination of Zian, as well as the executives behind the order to assassinate Zian, and then hand them over to the Universal Human Federation. After that, get ready and spend tens of billions of years on the battlefield to see if you can eliminate the anger of the federal headquarters. The leader of the organization said with a bitter tone. This is his last choice and the only choice. Find the person who accepted this mission and assigned the assassination mission to Zian and hand it over to the Universal Human Federation. After that, he took over the deployment of the Federal Army and went to the battlefield to perform the most dangerous tasks. See if you can survive. Although the most dangerous missions have the highest fatality rate. After all, there is still a glimmer of hope. Otherwise, there will be no chance of survival. And the premise of all this is, the employer who issued this task is not the Inhumans or the insects. Otherwise, once you get involved with the Inhumans or the insects, there was still no way for him to survive. As long as it's not the Inhumans or insects, there's still a glimmer of hope. Of course. This is also because Zian did not suffer any harm. Otherwise, even if the skin is slightly scratched, regardless of whether he is related to him or not, he will definitely die. There is no doubt about this. In a temporary interrogation room, Zian never thought about letting Jiang Yaoyao go. Impossible things. But if you want to kill her directly, Zian was a little reluctant to give up. Of course it won't be because the other party is a beauty or something. Zian has never been the kind of person who can't walk when he sees a beautiful woman. Besides, among the women around him, which one is worse than Jiang Yaoyao? The reason why is a little bit reluctant. Simply because he took a fancy to Jiang Yaoyao's strength. He hid the sweetness of selling intelligence and gaining a lot of wealth. I have always had the idea of forming an intelligence organization of my own. But for him to take charge personally, he definitely wouldn't have that time. Now, Jiang Yaoyao came to the door. The opponent is powerful. He is a high-grade god of war powerhouse. Secondly, they belong to the Dark World personnel. It has a natural advantage in how to manage intelligence organizations. The most important is Su Zian can control her. How to control? Very simple. Control her people. First, Jiang Yaoyao belongs to an unorthodox human race called the Pink Blood Elf tribe. The Pink Blood Elves are a branch of the unorthodox human elves. Just like Meow Meow, the civet clan she belongs to is a branch of the cat clan. The Pink Blood Elves are a neutral ethnic group among the elves. Because there is no dispute with the world all year round, and there is no dispute with the human race in the universe. So they have always been in peace, and the humans in the universe don't bother to care about them. But it's different now. People from the Pink Blood Elves assassinated Su Zian. And, based on what Jiang Yaoyao just said, she is also the queen of the Pink Blood Elves. Then the cosmic human race flattened her pink-blooded elves, and no ethnic group would say anything about it. If you seek death yourself, who will blame you? So what Su Zian has to do is very simple. Just directly control this pink-blooded elves. This is to ensure Jiang Yaoyao's loyalty to herself. Don't say anything inhumane. Things that don't exist. This itself is a world of jungle, Su Zian, let alone the Holy Mother. As long as Jiang Yaoyao disagrees, Su Zian will not hesitate to apply for the complete destruction of this pink-blooded elves, and he will definitely not show any mercy. Even Jiang Yaoyao would not hesitate to let Mu Ziqiu and the others kill him. But now I see the value of Jiang Yaoyao. He himself did not suffer any damage. Su Zian, I don't mind taking advantage of it. As for whether I can control it or not. According to the news Su Zian just learned from the virtual metaverse network, the Pink Snow Elf tribe is an ultra-tiny ethnic group. Ultra-micro ethnic groups are defined as those with a population of no more than 10 billion. The pink-blooded elves have a total population of only a few 100,000. 567, the strongest one is Yao. Except for Jiang Yaoyao, the strongest person in his tribe is only a battleship captain. Not even a deep spaceship captain. Extremely weak. Let alone others, even Su Zian's brilliant fleet can suppress it. But Su Zian definitely doesn't have that time. But this problem is easy to solve. When the time comes, tell 4th senior sister Lu Yuyu or 3rd senior brother Wu Lu. Just draw a boundary at will and guard the pink blood elves inside. Oh, yes, don't you still have a barony? Within the Soul Empire, there is an hourglass star system, which is its own private territory. That's just right. It's just right to imprison the people from the pink blood elves directly. Now that he had made up his mind, Su Zian directly raised his head and asked, Jiang Yaoyao. Based on your behavior, I believe you should know what consequences you, including your tribe, will face if you assassinate me, right? Jiang Yaoyao's expression suddenly changed. She lost all her pride as a god of war powerhouse and prayed, please, I beg you. I really didn't mean it, I really didn't know it was you. If I knew it was you, not only would I not take action, I would even take the initiative to report this matter to you humans in the universe. Jiang Yaoyao said it sincerely. I can tell. She really didn't lie. It is indeed scary and frightening. The pinnacle overlord group in the universe, Su Zian himself is a human race, so he cannot experience the tyranny of the human race in the universe. But these neutral and hostile ethnic groups. Everyone is shocked by the tyranny and bloodshed of the human race in the universe. Therefore, there is no chance at all. As long as Su Zian is willing. Her tribe. It will really be wiped out and there won't be any accidents. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. Zian raised 2 fingers with a cold expression. I'll give you 2 choices. 1. Surrender to me and be used by me. You must be loyal to me for the rest of your life. Let you go east, not west. Let you kill yourself without taking poison. At the same time, from now on, all of your tribe will go to my designated area and accept my control. Without my permission, you are not allowed to take even 1 step outside my designated area. Otherwise, the whole family will die. Zian said calmly, the second option, die. You die, your tribe, the pink-blooded elves, die. Jiang Yaoyao almost did not hesitate and said loudly, I am willing to surrender to you. I will be loyal to you throughout my life and will never betray you. If there is any second intention, my tribe and I will be buried with you without any complaints. She's not stupid. Originally, she thought that she and her tribe were certain to die. Now there is still a glimmer of hope, and even fools know what choice to make. As for surrendering to Zian, she is very willing. First, Zian will definitely be a super liar in the future. Follow him yourself, and your tribe will follow him. Although Zian's orders must be followed. But it's better than losing your life. Not to mention, Zian can also be regarded as the backstage of their clan. If others want to touch the pink blood elves, they have to see if they can offend Zian. One is mortal, the other is alive, albeit with limited freedom. But she definitely knows how to choose. Zian nodded and said, okay. I want you to remember what you said today. Otherwise, once you violate it, I don't need to say more about the consequences. Jiang Yaoyao nodded hastily, I know. Zian stopped talking and said in a deep voice, now, immediately, go and notify your tribe. Remember, every clan member must go. Wait a minute, I'll give you the coordinates. Let your people migrate there. Someone will pick them up when the time comes. Jiang Yaoyao quickly responded, I understand. Zian waved his hand. Lift up the optical brain watch and start operating it. First of all, it is natural to report this matter to the headquarters of the Universal Human Federation for application. Otherwise, if it's too late, I'm afraid the Federal Army has taken action directly. As for Zian's application, the Universal Human Federation headquarters agreed without any hesitation. It is a very normal thing for a certain super strong person to have his own vassal group. Even the Universal Human Federation strongly encourages this kind of thing. As long as you don't have any rebellious intentions, it's up to you to conquer as many neutral groups as you want. The headquarters absolutely approves. Therefore, the Universal Human Federation directly agreed to this matter. After, Zian contacted his third senior brother Wu Lu and told him about it. Third senior brother Wu Lu also agreed readily, even because the barony of Zian is located on the edge of the Soul Empire. Wu Lu waved his hand directly. That star system directly divided the scope of the Soul Empire and belonged to Zian's private domain. At the same time, Wu Lu also issued an order to dispatch a legion led by the captain of the deep space ship to personally guard the Hourglass star system. Guard the territory for Zian. Prevent outsiders from attacking. It also prevents people from the pink blood elves from running away or having ulterior motives. And this kind of thing is simply a trivial matter for Wu Lu and the Soul Empire. Even the king of the Soul Empire was very happy to give Zian such a small favor. Zian, now he is really very stylish and respectable. The Soul Empire is indeed powerful. But Zian's potential is even more terrifying. Befriend a peerless genius like Zian. No force will refuse. Not to mention that Zian and Wu Lu still have such a relationship. Naturally, there is no problem. Although Mu Ziqiu and Qin Fuyua's daughters didn't know what Su Lian wanted to do by leaving Jiang Yaoyao behind. But none of them asked. Zian always has his own ideas and purposes when doing things. In addition, they also know that Zian is usually kind and gentle. In fact, it is absolutely impossible for this kind of thing to happen to Our Lady. They have been with Zian for a long time. I know something deeply. Zian is actually an extremely cold-blooded person at his core. Zian didn't explain anything to them. There is no way to explain this kind of thing. And the fewer people who know, the better. Intelligence organizations have always been mysterious. Now that this matter has been dealt with, what should be done next? Jiang Yaoyao was still detained by Mu Ziqiu and others, and the interrogation continued. You don't really think that the interrogation is over now, do you? The next interrogation of Jiang Yaoyao was what made her collapse the most. Before it was confirmed that Jiang Yaoyao's assassination of Zian was unintentional, it was absolutely impossible to let her leave like this. Let's go, we've eaten our food and settled the matter, let's continue on our way. Zian waved his hand. All the girls nodded without any objection and followed Zian outside. Wait for the door to open and come outside. Only then did I see Captain Wang and several strange middle-aged men and women waiting at the door hesitantly, anxiously, and uneasily. Seeing Zian for a moment, Captain Wang immediately took a few steps forward and hurriedly begged, Su Tianjiao. As for this matter, as the Legion commander, everything is my fault. This incident has shocked you. I'm very, very sorry for you. Captain Wang stepped forward and bowed deeply to express his apology. The middle-aged men and women next to them also apologized. As the leaders of this star system, in the eyes of ordinary people, they are the big shots at the top of the pyramid. But in Zian's eyes, in fact, it is nothing. But Zian is not the kind of person who is indiscriminate and unreasonable. From Jiang Yaoyao's words just now, I know that this matter actually has nothing to do with Captain Wang and the others. Jiang Yaoyao is indeed the captain of the Star Destroyer. However, her starship was hidden by her in a very remote and hidden place. She just came to this star system to live on her own. Just when people come over, how can the Federal Army find her, a god of war powerhouse? After hiding for 5 or 6 years, I suddenly took action today. It's impossible to prevent it, so this matter actually has nothing to do with them. So Zian smiled, patted Captain Wang on the shoulder, and said with a smile, it's okay. This matter has nothing to do with you. You don't have to worry, I have just reported this matter to the headquarters in detail. And made it clear that this matter has nothing to do with you. Besides, after the incident happened, you responded quickly. The superiors will not blame you. After hearing what Zian said, Captain Wang and others were overjoyed, and a feeling of surviving a disaster came to their hearts. Captain Wang took Zian's hands and his face was filled with emotion. He knows. Zian doesn't need to explain this matter to the headquarters. But Zian just said it. Isn't it because of his enthusiasm before Zian came that he directly paid for Zian's arrangement for the largest evolution factory, Jiaohao? If this were not the case, how could such a proud person take the initiative to absolve them of their crimes? For a moment, Captain Wang was so moved that he didn't know what to say. Zian also understood the other person's mood, patted the other person's shoulder, smiled, and said nothing more. Take the girls, board the starship, and leave together. After this evolution, no more stopping halfway. We'll rush back to the Chinese Academy of the Earth Federation as quickly as possible. Then evolve the brilliant number to Tianjia. The girls' starships have also evolved to the 7th level. After, we'll set off again. Head to the battlefield. Join Haitang. The battlefield of the dazzling fleet officially begins. On the battlefield, personal strength improves the fastest. Same reason. Only on the battlefield. Only by improving the overall strength of the brilliant fleet and cooperating among the team members can the fastest improvement be achieved. At the same time, the rank of the brilliant fleet also improves the fastest. You can also take on high-value military missions one after another. Anyway, the battlefield is the place Zian has longed for a long time. It is the first step to becoming a truly strong person. It is also the most important step. After a full 10 days of interrogation that was worse than death. Jiang Yaoyao even told the story of stealing her mother's black stockings when she was a child and secretly putting a caterpillar into her father's bowl. After professional high-tech equipment appraisal and confirmation. Jiang Yaoyao, this assassination of Su Zian was indeed an unintentional act. And speaking of this, have to say. The assassination of Su Zian, the brilliant genius, has detonated the whole universe in the past 10 days. The Inhumans and insects were gloating over the misfortune. They all expressed why Su Zian was not killed. The cosmic human race is extremely angry and expresses its intention to completely destroy the Dark One organization and the Pink Blood Elves. The Dark One organization has endured an unimaginable amount of history during this period of time. However, thanks to the leader of the Dark One organization's rationality at the time of the incident, he took the initiative to expose his identity as soon as possible, and clearly explained his situation and his decision to the headquarters of the Universal Human Federation. After, he gritted his teeth and took the initiative to lead a group of strong men and senior officials from the Dark One organization to surrender. The Universal Human Federation did not directly destroy it, but controlled it and conducted the strictest review and interrogation. At the same time, the employer who hired them to assassinate Su Zian and the person who ordered the assassination of Su Zian from the Dark One organization were also traced. The first is the person who ordered Jiang Yaoyao to assassinate Su Zian, coincidentally. People ran away, display according to the message. Before he gave this order to Jiang Yaoyao, she had already run away. This performance is very obvious. This means that this person knows Su Zian's identity. It's even more intentional. 610. Just don't know. Is it to deliberately harm Jiang Yaoyao and the Dark One organization, or is it to deliberately try to see if Su Zian can be killed? What's even more coincidental is the man was still caught. It was reported. Whistleblower. His wife. What business he was engaged in, his wife did not know. But when his news was exposed, his wife, as a member of the human race in the universe, reported him out of righteousness. A powerful member of the Federal Army was captured in a Japanese attack. After interrogation, the reason why this man did this is simple. He is not a human traitor, nor does he have any grudge against Su Zian. It's purely because I'm dissatisfied with the treatment of the Dark One organization. When Su Zian learned the news, everyone was dumbfounded. Can only say, the universe is so vast and full of wonders. The last one released assassination of the employer for hire. It was no surprise that the Universe Human Federation learned about it. His employer is no one else. It was Gao Muli's father, who Su Zian killed during the Rat Exterminator project. He did this kind of thing out of resentment. Regarding the Gao group, the Universal Human Federation has adopted the most iron-blooded methods. An order was issued, an iron-blooded arrest and an iron-blooded massacre were launched against all members of the Gao group in the Chonghua Star territory. In one day, more than 90% of the members of the Gao group died, and the remaining 10% were also arrested. Waiting for them. It's a prison sentence of 100 million years. Basically, dead. Because the most powerful of the captured Gao group members was only a battleship captain. The dead body above him was curled up. And the battleship captain? It doesn't have such a long lifespan at all. So the final result is to die of old age in prison. After all, even if they are in prison, their biological days are at full value. There is no chance to evolve. Die. It is their final and only destination. After many days of long voyage. It's been a few years. Finally, I returned to the familiar Earth Federation and the familiar Chinese University. The moment he saw the Shenzhou star system, Su Zian actually felt a sense of home away from home. Look up. Today's Shenzhou star system is particularly lively. Gu Qingzhan, the principal of Shenzhou University, personally led the team and drove the Star Destroyer in the Shenzhou star system. Su Zian greeted them in the direction of their return. At his side, it's the vice presidents and deans, as well as the teachers and students of Shenzhou University. There are also a large number of residents of the Shenzhou star system, as well as powerful people from other star systems in the Earth Federation who come here to admire it. They were so densely packed that at a glance, the total number of starships welcoming them was at least 1 million. Many starships are even specially spray-painted, or a full system projection is directly installed. Welcome the pride of Shenzhou University. Welcome Su Zian, the pride of the Earth Federation. Win glory for the Chinese University. Win glory for the Earth Federation. Win glory for the human race in the universe. Brilliant genius Su Zian, welcome home. These are normal. There are also some abnormal ones. I am a female, 33 years old, and have never been in love, captain of a frigate, 176 centimeters tall, fair skin, beautiful and long legs. Please contact Su Tianjiao. Then there was a holographic projection, along with several photos and videos of her. The family has a little daughter, who is 28 years old. White skin and beautiful appearance, captivating the country and the city. Su Tianjiao, do you want a concubine? She won't cry or make trouble, she will be well-behaved and sensible. All kinds of weird sprays and projections. Of course, it's normal to have too much. The welcome to Su Zian was really enthusiastic to a certain level. In fact, BBDJ, Su Zian's fame in the Earth Federation has now reached a peak, especially in the two places of the Chinese star system and the solar system. It is even regarded as a matter of pride by people in these two places. People from these two star systems even quarreled over this for a while. This says that Su Zian belongs to the solar system and is the pride of the solar system. The one who said that Su Zian is a student of the Chinese Academy of Sciences is the pride of the Chinese star system. But in the end, no one won the argument. Some even said shamelessly that Su Zian was the pride of Chonghua star territory. Then he was angered by Yaohua star territory netizens. Netizens in the Yaohua star territory don't care if they say that Su Zian is the pride of the Sun star system or the Shenzhou star system. Anyway, no matter which star system is the pride, Su Zian is the pride of their Yaohua star territory. But why do you, Chonghua star territory, come here to join in the fun? Anyway, Su Zian is now famous and prestigious. You don't have to know which force is the strongest in Jiuxia Xinghai. But you absolutely must know who Su Zian is. Su Zian's experience has become a topic of conversation for countless people. Su Zian's experience was recounted by these people like a treasure trove. You can imagine how high Su Zian's prestige is now. That's why. Because Su Zian has a large number of fans. The two models of starships he personally designed, the Morning Star and the Big Dipper, are now selling for extremely high prices. Especially the new generation of awakened ones. Forget it if you really don't have money. But those with money at home can afford it. If you don't buy these two starships, designed by Su Zian, you will be looked down upon by other peers. Will be even more marginalized. The two starships, Morning Star and Big Dipper, bring in countless orders every day. Just for the first batch of orders, Su Zian received a dividend of 400 billion universe coins. That's 40 million worth of wealth. To know. This is just the first batch of orders. Subsequently, 98% of the orders have not yet been completed. Let's put it that way. As of now, the remaining orders are available once delivered. Su Zian's dividend alone will exceed 10 trillion universe coins. Yes. 10 trillion. An extremely scary number. This is the wealth brought by the large base population in today's cosmic interstellar era. Not to mention, after nearly half a year of testing, the two starships, Daystar and Big Dipper, are absolutely passable in terms of performance and appearance. Plus the price is very affordable. It was designed by Su Zian himself. More and more people are buying. It has even formed a trend and a trend. XT. Welcome to these starships. Su Zian saw a lot of the two starships, Morning Star and Big Dipper. It is precisely because of the large amount of income that it has brought a large amount of wealth to Zian. During this period of time, Zian's use of wealth could be said to be somewhat unscrupulous. Same. The strength is also rising steadily. Compared to the B-283 battlefield a few months ago, Zian today, I don't know how much stronger it is. How strong is it specifically? It's unclear now. You won't know until you enter the battlefield later. Anyway, I don't know anything else. One thing Zian is sure of. Just 2 days ago, he, in a Star Wars simulation, alone, killed an intermediate deep space ship. Take a cruiser. Take out a deep space ship. 2 levels past. Extremely powerful. Zian himself. They were all a little horrified. Unimaginable. Wait until you break through to the battleship. How powerful should it be? Really looking forward to it. Shenzhou Academy is quite busy today. Zian is now a junior student and the dean of the evolution department of the school. 2 groups of junior students have already arrived. For the legendary senior Zian, these juniors and juniors can all hear the cocoon. They knew all the deeds by heart. It is precisely because of Zian's existence. Nowadays, the evolution department of China University is already the #1 department in China University. And this year's Earth Federation Academy competition, China University won the first place without any surprise, continue to lead. Not surprisingly. And so it goes on. The fact that Shenzhou Academy is the #1 academy in the Earth Federation has basically disappeared. It doesn't matter whether Zian is not in Shenzhou University or not a student of Shenzhou University in the future. The foundation has been laid. And it has the name First Academy. I believe that the vast majority of top geniuses are very willing to come to China University to study. Come back this time. Zian was only a junior. But he is already the captain of the 9th level cruiser. It directly broke all the records in the history of Shenzhou Academy. To know. The fact that Haitang graduated as a cruiser captain was worth bragging about, and she was even listed as one of the top 10 talents of the Earth Federation. Now, Zian was already the captain of the 9th tier cruiser in his junior year. He is also the 303rd most talented person in the universe. At the same time, it is also an absolutely invincible existence under the battleship. Such a strong person. Naturally, it attracted the attention of countless students in the same period as Zian. Not many. Because the vast majority. Either he went to the battlefield in the inner courtyard. Either fallen. For example, one of the special admission students that year was the classmate who lost a lot of natural resources to Zian, and his family was also in the natural resources business. Just a few months ago, he died on a battlefield mission. When Zian heard the news, he sighed for a while. Besides, there were 3 geniuses in the special recruitment camp. Only Hu Qiqi, who was hanging out with Zian, was intact. Others such as Yu Xiao. He is now bound for the 2nd time, for these new faces. After Zian nodded and smiled, he followed the principal and a group of people into the principal's office. Zian returns. As a principal. Of course you have to host it in person. Zian didn't know. When he killed Barbarous Liu, the peerless genius of the insect race, he ranked 303rd on the genius list. During those few months, Gu Qingzhan was grinning from the corners of his mouth to his ears every day. Smile when you see people. I don't know how happy I am. Now that Zian is back, the look in Zian's eyes is like a baby bump. Only, the next second, his expression froze. Zian smiled and said, "Principal. By the way, when are you going to become the vice principal for me? With my current strength, I should have no problem becoming a vice principal, right? Do you not believe in my strength? How about I have a fight with my mentor? Let's see who wins, me or the mentor." As soon as these words came out, The originally bustling office suddenly fell into a deathly silence. Everyone stared deathly at Zian. Mentor Zhang Wushuang gritted his teeth and said viciously, "You bastard, are your wings stiff? Do you think you can beat me, Mentor? Don't think that, because you are invincible under a battleship, you can be arrogant. Tell you what, kid, you mentor me, but you will be promoted to Star Destroyer soon." Zhang Wushuang, when Zian came back from participating in the battle on the battlefield, he returned to Shenzhou Academy first. After knowing the strength and talent of his disciple, she believed that there was no need for her to stay with Zian any longer. Zian shrugged, "Teacher, I'm not arrogant. I'm just more confident." At the end of the training camp, I had a competition with Chongteng, my first trainer in the training camp. I was an 8th tier cruiser at that time. But, his starship was hit by me and suffered more than 25% battle damage. Zian's words silenced Zhang Wushuang for an instant. He looked at Zian as if he had seen a ghost. #B. Zhang Wushuang also knows who it is. He even knew that the other party was a powerful Star Destroyer captain. Zian hit the opponent's starship until the battle damage exceeded 25%. What does this mean? To put it more simply, if she were Zhang Wushuang, at most, before her starship is blown up by the opponent, it can also reduce the battle damage of the opponent's starship to 20% at most. Even lower. Zhang Wushuang fell silent and stared at Zian for a few seconds. Then he suddenly looked up at Gu Qingzhan and said righteously, "Dad, there's no need to compete. There is nothing to compete between master and apprentice. I'm afraid it will be bad if I accidentally blow up his starship. In addition, I support him as the vice president of our Chinese university." After Zhang Wushuang finished speaking, he stopped talking. Zian chuckled and looked at the other vice principals. The vice principals suddenly became excited. They all became more righteous. "Yes, I agree with Wushuang. After all, he is an unparalleled talent. Serving as the vice president of our Chinese university will definitely bring glory to our Chinese university. I agree. There will be more talented students who are willing to come to our Chinese university in the next class." Several vice principals spoke one after another. Gu Qingzhan rubbed his forehead, looked at several vice principals who had evasive eyes, and then looked at Zian. With a helpless smile, Gu Qingzhan nodded and said, Okay, from now on, you will be the vice principal of our college. Aren't you about to go to the inner courtyard to participate in the battlefield? Well, you go to the inner courtyard and become the vice principal of the Ministry of War. It just so happens to inspire the students in the inner courtyard. Zian immediately grinned and said, "Thank you, principal. Then look at my school points." Gu Qingzhan rolled his eyes angrily. "I'll give you treatment at the level of vice principal. Is this no problem? I'm afraid you are now richer than us old guys, right? The 2 starships you designed are now selling like crazy. Is your net worth almost reaching 1 trillion? I really don't know why you still care about these points. Asking for flowers." Zian smiled and did not explain, "No matter how small a mosquito is, it is still meat." Gu Qingzhan said no more. "Just kidding." Zian looked at Principal Zhang, the husband of her mentor Zhang Wushuang, who had been looking at him gently but said nothing. His lips moved, but in the end he said nothing. Principal Zhang seemed to have guessed what Zian wanted to say. He took a step forward and patted Zian's shoulder affectionately. Then he said with a hearty smile, "It doesn't have to be like this. Now that I have been rebound, I am already at the cruiser level. Soon, I will be able to return to the deep spaceship level. In terms of fit, we are about to break through, so don't worry about me." See the other person say this. Zian could only grin and nodded heavily. At last, Zian looked at the deputy dean of the evolution department, Li Taoxing, whom he had tricked from the Imperial City Starship Academy. After looking at the other person for a few times, Zian asked with a smile, "How is it? How is your recovery?" 0. It was impossible to say that Li Taoxing had no complaints in his heart when he was deceived by Su Zian into becoming the vice president of Shenzhou University. But soon he began to appreciate Su Zian, because he found that here, he could learn more and pass on his knowledge to more students. Those small conflicts back then have long since dissipated. Hearing this, Li Taoxing also smiled heartily and said, "I'm fine too. My recovery speed is similar to that of Principal Zhang, and I am also a cruiser captain. Listen to what the other person says." Su Zian was also completely relieved. After chatting with everyone for a while, he took everyone to say goodbye and left. Return to the long-lost Shining Island. Shining Island. It's still the same as when he left. Nothing has changed. However, there is a sense that things are right and people are different. What he left behind was a little-known little Karami. Now. But he is already a peerless genius who is famous in the universe. He is also a strong man who is about to break through to the battleship. In just a few years. The changes are so rapid. Although I just came back. Su Zian, however, will not stay long at all. At most half a month. Wait until the brilliance evolves to the 10th tier cruiser level. The girls' starships have also evolved to the 7th tier cruiser level. We'll leave here. Once again embark on a journey of growth. This time, it will be a battlefield. It was also when Su Zian started working on the evolution of all starships in the brilliant fleet. Outside, regarding the fact that Su Zian served as the vice president of Shenzhou University and the vice president of the inner college. It completely spread in the college. The college forum has already been maxed out. When I was a student, I was the vice principal. Then when Su Zian graduates, doesn't he want to become the principal directly? All I can say is that Su Zian is indeed a brilliant talent. The history of the school was blown away by him. Believe that since him. China Academy. It is impossible for anyone to achieve such an achievement. Su Zian, at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. It will definitely become a legendary pill recorded in school history. In fact, Su Zian doesn't like this vice principal. I don't care at all anymore. The reason why I still need this position of vice principal. One is for fun. Equals. Just think of it as helping a bunch of schools. Su Zian serves as the vice principal, and those points are nothing to him. But with his current reputation, becoming the vice principal will surely attract more new generation talents to join him. It can be regarded as a way for Su Zian to give back to his alma mater. That's all for these purposes. And since Su Zian returned to Shenzhou University, so he stayed on the brilliant island every day, evolving the starship. Time. Day by day passed. Soon, 13 days passed in the blink of an eye. It was also the last day of the 13th day. All starships have evolved. The starship of the ladies. They all reached the 7th tier cruiser level. Su Zian's brilliant account. It has even reached the 10th tier cruiser level. In a real sense, there is only one step left. It's a battleship. In the past, Suba Sanzi and only wanted to reach the cruiser level. But now, wait until it is truly achieved. But found, I haven't had much recollection yet. It is about to break through the cruiser level. And preparations for a breakthrough battleship. Su Zian also put a lot of thought into it. Just the choice of one component. This gave Su Zian a headache. In fact, it was as early as the destroyer period. Su Zian is already paying attention to the parts needed to evolve the battleship. But after such a long time, he still hasn't found the one that truly satisfies him. In the treasure house inside Shenzhou Academy, there were a few parts that satisfied him, but it is not the main component. They are all non-major parts. Purchased directly using points. The real major parts. We can only continue to search. In fact, if you really want to evolve, you don't pay special attention to details. There is no need to worry about it at all. However, the battleship is a very important hurdle, and Su Zian cannot help but ignore it. What's more, during the battleship period, he must have been fighting on the battlefield most of the time. The stronger the brilliance is, the more hope it has to survive. This cannot be done carelessly. In the end, there was no way. Zian only planned to go to the battlefield first. It really doesn't work. The only option is to use military merit and exchange it from the treasure house of the Universal Human Federation. But military merit is extremely important, and the number is very rare. I can only go to the battlefield this time and earn military merit to see if I can earn enough military merit to exchange for the parts one need before breaking through the battleship. The starship has evolved. The parts purchased with school points have also been loaded. Next, just continue to get ready and head to the battlefield. This time I went to the sea-level battlefield, and I was accompanied by my mentor Zhang Wushuang, Vice Principal Zhang, and Li Taoxing, the Deputy Dean of the Department of Evolution. The reason why they also followed. The reason is simple. They are now cruisers. Although there is no level limit. But evolution also requires a lot of evolution values. They go to the battlefield to earn evolution points. At the same time, you can also hone your fitness for binding starships many times during the war. Zian, are you all ready? I just came out of Brilliant Island. Then they saw Mentor Zhang Wushuang's deep space ship, and 2 cruisers of Vice Principal Zhang and Li Taoxing waiting there. Zian immediately responded on the communicator, ready to go at any time. Zhang Wushuang said, no. Before departure, go to the maintenance department first. Give your starship some camouflage. Now your reputation is definitely on the must-kill list of the Inhumans and insects. As soon as you show up, all the information about you will be known immediately. If you can be as low-key as possible, then try to be as low-key as possible. After all, heading to the battlefield, your guardians shouldn't be able to follow you, right? And it's not just a showdown between geniuses in the training camp. Once you enter the battlefield, any enemy can attack you. Even if the opponent's super strong man attacks you, we have nothing to say. It's better to be on the safe side. After hearing what Zhang Wushuang said, Zian didn't think much and agreed simply. Original. He planned to go to C72743 and camouflage the starship. But since Zhang Wushuang has said it now, it is the same as pretending now, present. Under the leadership of Zhang Wushuang, a group of people came to the Shenzhou star system, a very remote satellite. This is the control area. Off the beaten path. Even if there are people, they are internal staff of Shenzhou Academy. Even if all the starships in the Brilliant Fleet undergo a major change, under normal circumstances, no one will know about it. And the camouflage of the starship is not that complicated. It's nothing more than changing the paint of the starship. These coatings will not affect the stealth coating performance of the starship, and besides painting, there will also be some additional cosmetic improvements. For example, in terms of appearance, add some parts that only have appearance but no performance. For example, the Brilliance had 4 main guns, and 4 more were added in some areas. Of course, these 4 main guns are just decorations. They have no attack capabilities and no base. They are just decorations. There are also secondary guns and anti-aircraft guns. And some corners and corners. Should be said or not. The appearance of Shenzhou Academy is still extremely professional. Wait until all modifications are completed. At least from the outside. The original appearance of the Brilliant number can no longer be seen at all. The same goes for the starships, including the girls. Basically, you can't see the original appearance. And this disguise. It is also the most common method of disguise used by everyone in the universe. Disguise, just disguise. But the identification code will not change. Normally, as long as the identification code appears, one's own officials know the true identity information of the account. But it doesn't matter, as a proud person. The headquarters of the Universal Human Federation has carried out all-round protection. For example, this unique identification code. The bright number has a different identification code. Every identification code is real and valid. Whichever identification code Zian wants to display, just display that identification code. Of course. Pretense is just that, pretense. When we actually enter the battlefield, wanting to disguise is actually not that simple. Basically, after a battle, your identity will be revealed by the enemy. But it's not a big problem. Next, just continue with the disguise. The appearance of the camouflage changes once every battle. There won't be any problem. Everything is taken care of. The brand new dazzling fleet set off together. Go to the C-72743 battlefield. C-72743, as a sea-level battlefield. The intensity of the battle was not too high. The cruiser captain is basically a daily high-end combat power. Under normal circumstances, the highest combat effectiveness put into the battlefield by both sides is almost the deep space ship level. Star destroyers only exist occasionally. As long as it's not too high profile. The possibility of the brilliant fleet being killed is not high. From the Shenzhou star system, it is not far to go to C-72743. At the speed of everyone, it will take up to 6 days to arrive. After all, it is the nearest sea-level battlefield, so it cannot be too far away. And 4 of these 6 days are the time for the wormhole star gate to go to the border. The actual 0.4 time spent on the road is only 2 days. Time flies. 6 days later, when everyone comes out of the wormhole star gate, already deep in the outermost area of the sea-level battlefield. The C-72743 battlefield area is not small either. The battlefield area is actually similar to the B-283 battlefield, and it also uses a large galaxy as the battlefield. It's just that the area of this large galaxy is relatively small, but it is about 1.5 the size of the Milky Way. This entire large galaxy is within the scope of the C-72743 battlefield. The level of the battlefield has little to do with the area occupied. It is related to the high-end bilateral combat power on the battlefield and the intensity of the battle. And here, just came out of the wormhole star gate. A familiar starship caught Zian's eyes. Zian's eyes suddenly paused and he stared intently at the familiar starship ahead. The smile at the corner of his mouth became brighter and brighter. Kraken. Begonia. 3-year agreement. I didn't break my promise. Battlefield C-72743, in the star system behind the location of the human race in the universe of the TC-998 battle zone. The area of this battlefield is as large as half a galaxy. Such a large galaxy is divided into war zones. In different war zones alone, the number exceeds 150,000. The TC-998 war zone is one of the war zones with fierce fighting. It is also the place where the inner courtyard of China Academy of Sciences was established. In the TC-998 war zone, the cosmic human race controls more than 100 star system areas in total. These more than 100 star system areas, and more than 80 ahead, are the battlefields and the defense lines of the human race in the universe. The remaining 30 or so star systems are areas for logistic support, leisure and entertainment for the human race in the universe. The prosperity of these star systems is no worse than that of normal star systems. The difference is that the various defense facilities here are extremely tight. Giant cannons can be seen everywhere, and patrol teams can be seen everywhere. On one of the planets, called the Northern Flare Star in the Red Smoke star system. The Red Smoke star system is one of the star systems behind the TC-998 war zone. The Northern Star is the most prosperous and largest solid planet among them. After the renovation, it is very comfortable to live in. Mountains, oceans, lakes, forests, and high-rise buildings. On top of this, there are still a large number of indigenous residents living there. In short, normal life is no different from an ordinary planet. The inner courtyard of Shenzhou Academy is built at the foot of a mountain on Beijing. But the surroundings are also very prosperous. There were people coming and going, and it was very lively. 11 at this time in the inner courtyard of Shenzhou Academy. The appearance and facilities of the inner courtyard of Shenzhou University look no different from the outer courtyard. Maybe it's because the students here are generally very strong, full of energy and murderous intent. The inner court applied for it on its own initiative, and those who can take the initiative to apply to come to the inner courtyard are all talented students who want to fight on the battlefield. There are also many students who have graduated and will continue to choose to stay in China University. In China University, even if you graduate, you can still stay. It's no problem to work as a freelance lecturer or simply as a staff member of a Chinese university. So, look around. There are many cruiser captains in the inner courtyard, and there are also many battleship captains. But the deep spaceship captain can't see it anymore. There is only one vice principal of the inner courtyard, who is a deep spaceship captain. And this was the first time for Zian to see this vice principal. A burly and powerful man. At this time, the other party looked at Zian. His old face was red from holding back. He hesitated for a long time, but he was too embarrassed to shout out the word Principal Su. He is a deep spaceship captain. Although Zian's strength is not bad, he is also a peerless genius. But after all, he is still a junior student. Make him a vice principal. How could you shout? Zian naturally understood and took the initiative to say hello with a smile. Vice Principal Zhao. Vice Principal Zhao just said a few words of hum, coughed slightly, and said, "Then what? You are also the vice principal now, and you are now in charge of our war department in the inner courtyard. If anything happens after that, you can arrange it." I have something else to do, why don't I leave first? If you need anything, just call me. After saying that, Zian blushed and felt full regardless of whether he responded or not. Maid. Shame. What a shame. Call a junior in his 20s the vice principal. This is too embarrassing for him, old Zhao. As soon as Vice Principal Zhao left, Qin Fuyue immediately became active. He immediately jumped up to Hai Tang, who was always quiet, held her arm affectionately, and said in a charming tone, "Sister Hai Tang. I miss you so much." Hai Tang's eyes were slightly unnatural, but he quickly hid them and said as always, "I miss you too. But in recent years, you have been following Zian to get the limelight. Last time I talked to my uncle and aunt, I heard that you are already a genius? Speaking of which..." Qin Fuyue suddenly became elated. In the brilliant fleet, she is just an ordinary one. There's no place to show off. Now that I could finally show off myself, I nodded heavily and said, "Yes, yes." It only took me a few years to go from a top genius to an ordinary genius now, and I was also ranked among the top 10 geniuses of the Earth Federation not long ago. Hehe, I'm awesome. Qin Fuyue said proudly. Indeed so. Today's ranking of the Earth Federation's top 10 geniuses can be said to have been set up specifically for Zian. Zian is the undisputed number 1. The second is Lu Yuyu. Third, there are Hu Qiqi, Miao Xiaomi, Tai Mei, Qin Fuyue, and Bai Xiaoniao. Following closely behind is Begonia. It can almost be said that this list was established for Zian and his brilliant fleet, dazzling to the extreme. Again, the girls followed Zian, which made them look less dazzling. In fact, taken individually, each one is an extremely dazzling genius. Hai Tang and Qin Fuyue were talking. But those beautiful eyes glanced at Zian from time to time. Before meeting, both of them seemed to have thousands of words hidden in their stomachs. But after they actually met, it seemed like nothing could be said. Just one look into each other's eyes seemed to have said all the words. Everything. Ret. The women around them seemed to be able to clearly feel the atmosphere between the two. Look at each other. But said nothing. Including Qin Fuyue. Those big eyes just glanced between the two of them and acted as if they didn't see anything. Can you evolve a battleship now? Finally, Hai Tang spoke first, looking at Zian with beautiful eyes, and asked softly. It's still the familiar magnetic voice, still so melodious. Zian grinned, nodded, and said, "Of course. Also, are the evolution points I asked you to save enough? You are about to join our dazzling fleet. I'm afraid the ordinary quality can't keep up. Haitang tapped her head lightly, her red lips parted slightly. I saved a lot. Even evolving to overall orange epic quality is enough. Zian shook his head and said, for the time being, let's keep it the same as everyone else, battleship, 100% overall purple and unparalleled quality. Let's try it first to see if there is a chance to get enough evolution points on this battlefield. Otherwise, the quality is too high from the beginning, but the evolution value cannot keep up, and it will be a bit of a waste of time. Starship. After all, one's own level is the first factor. Quality is improved to the highest quality without delaying the evolution of your own starship. As for quality, there is no doubt that the further you go, the more evolution values you need. And the further you go, the more evolution values the starship itself will have. The more evolution points you have, the more enemies you need to kill. It is not suitable to go to the highest quality from the beginning without being sure that you can get a lot of evolution values. See what Zian said. Haitang naturally had no objections. The overall purple quality is 100% unparalleled, and she is actually very satisfied. Because of this quality, as long as his Star Wars ability can keep up, it is very easy to fight in a leapfrog battle. Okay, now that I've fulfilled my promise, shouldn't you also fulfill your promise? Zian suddenly smiled and said. Haitang smiled slightly and said, I already applied before you came to this battlefield. It's just that you didn't see it. Zian was startled and opened the exclusive website of Brilliant Fleet. As expected. As you can see from the above, Haitang's Kraken had already submitted an application to join the team a few hours ago. And, it's more than that. Besides her, there is another application. Name, Taj. Starship, Iron Mountain. Starship level, Tier 10 cruiser. I saw the name of the other party and the name of the starship. Zian understood immediately. This should be Taime's evil sister. She was originally going to the training camp to find herself last time. But it was delayed because of the war. So he came directly to this battlefield and waited. Now my group has just arrived. For convenience, I applied to join the team. That's the name. Taj. A Thai beauty. In Zian's mind, a figure playing basketball appeared involuntarily. The back is so aloof. He shook his head and threw these messy thoughts out of his mind. There was no hesitation. Haitang and Taj's application to join the team was immediately approved. Since then, Brilliant Fleet. 2 more members added. Plus Zian himself. The number of people in the Brilliant Fleet. That's a total of 8 people. Since then, it will also be the time for the Brilliant Fleet to crazily improve their ranks. Set a small goal first. Rank the fleet. Let's talk about raising it to gold level. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.